Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you are watching. It's Patrick from Mercedes-Benz Burlington. I've just left the dealership and I'm going to show you a few things about our drive dynamic. One of my favorite things about Mercedes-Benz vehicles is most of them are at least 2 to 3, if not 4 vehicles wrapped into one. And that is because our drive dynamics settings really adjust how the vehicle feels and how the vehicle drives. On many cars, there's an eco mode and a sport mode, but it doesn't do too much to the car. Some of it's just for the exhaust, some of it's just to speed up a little bit, but it doesn't change the dynamic of the car. And that is why we have named it Drive Dynamic, not just, drive mode. I'm going to show you an example of the GLE 53 Coupe. That's what I'm in right now. That is a lot of different drive dynamics to choose from. Just before I start here, to note, there are other drive modes that are available for Mercedes-Benz vehicles because depending on the fit and finish and model of the vehicle, it's going to change what is available in your dynamics menu. If your vehicle is electric, there's going to be a battery hold option. There's going to be a full electric option in terms of your recuperation. In a hybrid, you're going to have a electric drive mode because you could also drive in a hybrid mode. In our G-Wagon, there's going to be an off-road and an off-road plus for driving, through sand, rock, dirt, and, hills. And in this car, which is an SUV, but a performance SUV, you have all of the other drive dynamics that I'm going to go through. Right now, I'm driving up the road in comfort mode. Every Mercedes-Benz vehicle defaults into comfort mode every time you start the car. That's going to give you the most comfortable drive. It's going to allow you to use your fuel normally. It's going to accelerate normally. It's going to shift gears normally. 3 main factors of the drive dynamics is the engine, the suspension, and we call it the dynamic.
Not subscribe to this service.
I'm talking too much about, I'm saying Mercedes-Benz too much. She wants to help me. And the last one is the dynamic, which would be like steering and the feel of the vehicle as you drive it. So comfort is, self-explanatory. It's comfort mode. It's everything I just said, and it's the most normal commuting drive mode. If I switch down on here on my drive dynamic switch, located in the center, on some vehicles it's located on the console in front of you, and on some vehicles with the performance steering wheel, you also have the choice of doing it on your steering wheel in front of you. You can switch into different modes. Now I've switched into sport mode. You're going to see my engine is now sport, my suspension is sport, and my dynamic is sport. That's going to allow me to speed up. And obviously I like sport mode because it's very fun to drive. But the main thing is it stiffens the handling so I can turn on a dime like right here, and it allows my RPMs to rev higher, creating a more instant acceleration when I'm shifting. In a lot of the sports cars, you can also go into a manual setting where that's going to allow you to shift gears using your paddle shifters as well. But Mercedes-Benz thought, you know what? We make a lot of very fun sports cars with lots of power. That's not enough for us. So they also have given a Sport Plus, which allows the dynamics, the suspension, and the engine to even get more aggressive. And that is how you're going to get your 0 to 60 numbers the most accurate to what is advertised, because that gives you instant power, great sound, and obviously great fun. I'm going to turn around here and let me show you some other modes. So Sport and Sport Plus, quite similar. A lot of clients don't end up using Sport because, anytime that you can use Sport, you might also want to use Sport Plus. Some clients will say, you know what, I use Sport, Patrick, because I like to drive a little bit more of a sporty drive even when I'm commuting, but I don't necessarily need it to be revving super high, when I'm just driving on my daily commute. So some clients do use that Sport mode. I don't want to slander it, but I usually go into Sport Plus or Comfort depending on how I'm feeling. On this vehicle, you also have Individual. Individual is the most fun because you can dress up or dress down specific features of those 3 that I was speaking of. So if you look on the menu here, I can change my engine from moderate to sport. I can change my suspension to Sport Plus, and I can keep my dynamics on basic. Or, for me, I would typically go into Pro because I wanted to handle the most aggressively. Why that's cool is because now you can say, you know what, if I'm driving to work, your individual could be, let's say, comfort suspension. But like I said, some clients want that sport mode. So in this setting, when I go into individual, it's very customizable, and that's why it's called individual, because me as an individual, you know what, I want the sport acceleration, I want the comfort suspension, and I want the pro drive dynamics, and that's going to save as my individual. So now if I'm in comfort mode and I'm driving along and I say I want to put it into that Patrick drive mode, I'm going to go into the individual, and that's going to set that up automatically for me so I can just drive away. Lastly, on the SUVs and on some of our larger sedans, you're going to have the slippery mode. That is going to reduce the revs and reduce the acceleration, because it doesn't want to put you into a skid. Slippery is not good for, sorry, I shouldn't say not good. Slippery is not only good for the snow, even though that the symbol is a flurry. You can also use it for heavy rain conditions, icy roads, or any time really that the weather is below zero. Obviously, if the roads are dry, you might not necessarily want to, but anytime you want to limit those revs and you're nervous you might go into a skid, or you think that there's, you know, something that is in between the tire of your vehicle and the road, so rain, sleet, snow, sometimes even sand, that slippery mode is very usable. Now I'm in individual and I'm driving back in individual. Other things to note, like I said, the off-road modes, those are going to give you low revs, but watch how you drive in terms of traction. So that's going to help you when you're, you know, in an area where everything is loose, gravel, aggressive sand. You know, where we are in Burlington, we don't get too many of those different modes, but I also know some clients that drive in off-road mode in a snowstorm, because it just helps you, you know, stay on the off-beaten path. When it's snowing on the road, the road is pretty well gone, depending on how much snow there is. That can really help you drive a little bit better. And then in those drive dynamic modes for the electric cars, it's mostly based on what is powering the vehicle. So you still have things like your sport and your comfort in terms of your suspension and your steering, but those are just based on, you know, what's giving power. Is it hybrid? Is it a little bit of gas? Is it a little bit of electric? Is it full electric motor? Is it full gas motor? Because I'm saving that electric motor for, you know, later when I'm driving somewhere that I want to be full electric. That's for the hybrid. And then when I talk about recoup modes, they're not necessarily dynamic modes. They're just how much recuperation you want. The stronger the recuperation, the more aggressive you'll feel a G-force when you take your foot off the accelerator in the electric modes. So those modes are mostly depending on what the driver likes. I like strong recoup when I'm by myself, because it's one pedal driving. I can take my foot off the accelerator and it'll slow down to almost a complete stop on its own. However, my passengers don't like that. So that's something to keep in mind, that, you know, you might have to switch to no recuperation when you have a car full of passengers that aren't used to the electric drive, because they'll feel it in their body more as you drive around. So keep that in mind when you are doing the different recoup modes as well. But just wanted to do a little quick video here, because people always ask, what is the drive dynamic mode? You know, what are the other modes that I can use? Because some clients drive around in comfort not knowing that the drive dynamic modes really change how the vehicle feels, especially on the, you know, middle ground AMGs and full AMGs. You can drive comfort mode and have a regular feeling GLE like I'm driving right now. And if I was to put this into Sport Plus, now I feel like I'm driving a race car. So it is important to know the different dynamic modes. There's one mode I haven't mentioned, and that's the Eco mode. Eco mode is Patrick's least favorite, guys. I don't love that mode, just because I find it's very similar to comfort. But what I will say is it is important for clients that want to limit the amount of fuel they're using. So if you're someone who drives slower, or you know, you're low on gas and you're driving somewhere, that is really going to help you manage the fuel load the best way it can. I don't love it because it limits, you know, some of the driving capabilities, and I prefer to have it, you know, available readily. So I prefer comfort mode, but Eco mode is available too on some cars. On the AMG model, it's not even on there, because there's no way of it getting into that Eco setting. But guys, if you have any questions about the drive dynamic, come in, experience the drive with us. If you have any questions, please send us a message, and I'm happy to send you a more in-person individual video just going through your drive dynamics of your car. Every Mercedes-Benz model has different drive dynamics, but I think I covered most of them, so I hope that is helpful to you. Have a great day.